Hello, welcome to Fresh Earth Comics, the podcast. I'm your host, B. Luke. I have Amy joining us. Hello, Amy.
Hi, I'm here.
And we just got done watching another episode of Secret Invasion. So we just got done, ran down the stairs, we're turning on the podcast. I don't know anything that you feel other than your laughter or your noises.
Nonverbal cues, if you will.
Yes, and I know that you heard me burst out loud laughing a few times.
Yes.
So it's fresh on our minds, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about DC's Night Terrors, they came out, and then talk about some books we're really enjoying this week. So
Yes.
Let's just jump right into it. Secret Invasion, this third episode.
Correct.
Whoo, boy.
I felt that this was an improvement. Generally, more things happened, I feel, in this episode than last. And one major thing I will say, we were wondering what was the deal with Nick Fury's wife.
We weren't. I said, does it really matter unless she's a secret agent, like, gonna kill Fury situation?
Right. I mean, yeah, but I was still like, well, I still wanted to know. I was still curious.
Yeah, we're curious, but at the same time, is that what's keeping you watching week to week? That is what the exciting point of this whole episode was for you, is whether or not she is Nick Fury's wife. I mean, I've been worrying about that all week. There's a lot of things I worry about, and that was the most important thing.
No.
Not because I've been still stuck on the radioactive things. I'm like, oh, they could play Ghostbusters, hire them, they'd be able to find them in a second. I'm still on that, and that still hasn't been made clear to me.
No, we're just filled with questions only. We're not satiated by answers. We're just more inquisitive.
I guess I'm just like Nick Fury. So Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, I don't know what's going on, but I cannot unsee it now. He's Mr. SitsDownAlot.
Oh my god.
He's leaning, crouching, or propped up against something. Like, this has to be this has to be Samuel L. Jackson's curtain call. Because he clearly is just Mr. Sit Around. And he's a terrible, like, I'm almost under the impression this is not Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, or at least let's make him paralyzed, and then he can be in a wheelchair and be like Professor Xavier. Because he's doing just as good secret agenting as
He's sitting down just as much as Dr. X.
When he's when he was firing bullets at those scrolls at the mansion, he's like standing still and like shoot him like he's like he's not crouched over. He's just bam bam. He's got the marksmanship, so he's got that. But I'm just like, you could have just put him in a remote control wheelchair and he could have done the same thing. I think it might have looked a little more awesome.
Fucking a tiny, middle-sized drone. Just slap him in there.
Yeah, like give him like some kind of like jetpack or something. Like a Tony Stark little armor, because it's really, and also the talking. I love Ben Mendelsohn and Samuel L. Jackson's.
Oh,
we commented last time.
Their banter
their
is
banter
great.
between each other. But what point is that just the show? It's now just. I feel like every episode we're just now watching a different reincarnation of Pulp Fiction, where they're interviewing someone, they've got to talk, and it's like that Royale with cheese. It feels like that every time.
Yeah.
And I love it, but now I know, I'm almost guaranteed we're going to have it next episode.
Oh, yeah.
Am I going to get tired of it? Like, oh my goodness, here we go again.
I don't know. I feel like no, because it's Samuel freaking Jackson, and I have not seen anyone match Samuel L. as much as I feel that Ben Mendelsohn has, in just pure sass, like purely just on sassy factor, because they will just go at it and be fucking petty, basically. Oh yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You're welcome, Nick Fury. That was a nice thing to hear. Blah blah. Like they kept doing petty things like that to each other.
So did you catch any clues? Because I think we got some clues in there about maybe Skrulls have been superheroes the whole time.
Yes.
When he kept on mentioning, like, when you had this problem, I was there. When you had this problem, I was there. We've been helping you the whole time, Nick Fury, which personally I don't like, because Nick Fury is the ultimate soldier. Like, if Captain America is the ultimate soldier,
Hmm.
Nick Fury's like the ultimate James Bond, CIA, like the best of the best. No one can outmatch him in cunningness.
Yeah, I would
And
agree.
and having Talos go, well, if it wasn't for us doing all this stuff for you, how great would you really be? I'm like, you're taking away who Nicholas Fury is.
Yes. And all of his accomplishments to this point. Like, I agree that, like, Skrulls may have made a huge contribution to that, but I would hope that the greater good would have played into that, and it's not just, oh, we'll do you favors so you'll do us favors kind of reciprocation type deal.
What did you think of the episode? What were some highlights? Your thoughts?
I think early on in the episode, Gravix did, and I was like, when he mentioned about powers, and our powers are changing. And I remembered what you said last week about, the Super Skrulls and how they were able to take over some of the Avengers in the series.
Now, did you notice when his hand was reforming?
Yes.
Because we're talking about when
Ben Mendelsohn
Mendelsohn
stabbed him in the hand and he
healed.
just ripped it out.
It looked exactly like the extremis from Iron Man 3. That they were trying, like Pepper was going to get the powers,
Yes.
and what's his name? Guy Pearce's character, whatever his name is.
Yes, Guy Pearce is Guy Pearce always.
So that looked like the same kind of extremis technology. So if we're looking at like, oh, the Skrulls have been along during that time, like maybe we could see Guy Pearce again. Like maybe Guy Pearce was a Skrull the whole time.
Well, yeah.
We didn't really see him die. We just saw him kind of melt into the ocean, didn't we?
I mean,
I'm trying to think of Iron Man 3 ended right now.
I think, well, and the last time I saw Iron Man 3 was the last time you saw Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I know.
So it's been a while. I don't really remember it.
Like, I don't really think we see him die. Like, we just see him going to a void. Like, we just assume he's dead now.
Right.
So, and especially if he's a Skrull and a Super Skrull on top of that, like, what if he was Gravik the whole time?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to see. And so far, we have been getting nothing. It's just everybody who they've introduced has been Skrulls. So, like, we see this person on television where they're like, oh, we know they're a Skrull. It
Yep.
should have been someone from a while ago, like someone who's always been on the news that we didn't really catch all this.
Yeah,
whole time.
and I know we touched on that last
and
episode.
and
too.
so, but to see it reenact now, where now it matters that last episode we met all the inner cabinet people,
right,
and then know like, oh, these people are part of it. No wonder why they're letting things go and pass.
right.
They needed to amp it up. They needed to throw somebody else in, and I think maybe they did at the end of the episode with the phone call.
Yes.
Because apparently Rhodey is now a Skrull.
Well, and I think this kind of goes back to talking about the Super Skrulls at the beginning of the episode, which I kind of felt that Rhodey coming in and firing Nick Fury felt off, to say the least. Like, it felt off to me. Would you agree?
It did. And, I mean, last time we saw Rhodey, he was not... Like, he had the walking stuff
Right.
on.
Yeah,
and now he is walking like it looks
nothing
like he
ever
Broadway
happened
play.
to him. Yeah.
Like, you can say, oh, Tony's technology or rehab worked, but also Skrull, did he just get replaced?
Yes. Well, let's recap what we.
But even
thought
if it
we
is, it's
saw.
only this last year he got replaced. I want somebody from like the beginning of the Avengers movies or Iron Man 2. Like, give me a character that we have established this love of. Like in Secret Invasion, the comics, when they reveal certain characters have been Skrulls from like years ago, that's a huge power play.
Yeah.
They go, oh wow, they've been, or like from
I
Age
agree,
of Ultron
and
on.
I agree, and I think maybe that's what the show is building up to. Hopefully,
I know, and I'm just
and you
waiting.
are just so fucking impatient.
We only got like two. We're halfway through because it's only us.
a 6-episode
I
run.
believe, yeah,
Okay.
we're halfway through already. So, and if we're not going to find out who they are until 2 weeks, we'll find out, and then this finale is just like this whole thing. I'm going to agree with you. It should have been a movie. When you asked me, like, could this been a movie? Because you have all the talking scenes.
Yes.
I mean, those easily could have been conduced into episodes. I mean, it feels a little drawn out to me.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I,
but
I or I I think that they could have gone about and added more things that were not to make it less dialogue heavy because it's so dialogue heavy.
but I don't think we have a choice because every time Nick Fury moves, the camera's not on him. We're just assuming he moves, and then when the camera goes back to him, he's in a relaxed position. Take a look, rewatch the episode. You will see it. It's really bothering me. It's if this was like
Samuel L. Jackson has been taken over in real life by an old ass scroll.
if this was some kind of like that's what I said. This has to be his last duel because if not,
And that was also my thought when I was watching the opening credits. Was like, yeah, Samuel L. Jackson is producing this. I think usually when we see actors that are so close to these characters, that usually they are highly involved in how they're written out or their arc and their character ends. Like they're usually really involved with that. So I the more that I think about it, the more I agree. I think this is starting to be his swan song of Nick Fury.
speaking of Swan Song,
Yes.
the new book came out by W. Maxwell Prince. It is an amazing book. It's about I think it's just gonna be a catalog of like different stories of like ending of life. So I need to look more into because I never knew this book came out, and I saw Swan Song and I saw W. Maxwell Prince. I'm like, oh, that's enough for me to read it. Ice Cream Man. That book messes with my head every time I read it. I get creeped out because he itches this invisible fear I have
Yes.
of things like I think about, but I don't really think about. And now he made me realize I think about it. Like the last issue that came out was about
The storybook one.
the storybook. The guy was
Yeah,
writing the
that I read
storybook.
too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I made you read it because I was so freaked out because Ice Cream Man's like it's a chronological story, but then it's also like standalone pieces. It's very similar to like a Twilight Zone, if anything, except it all happens in the same universe. Just we don't know what happens in our neighbors' houses.
Yeah.
So it's a story about everybody's house in this neighborhood, basically.
Mm.
And every single time freaks me out.
Every time.
So this Swan Song book, I was like, all right, let's see what he does when he's not doing Ice Cream Man. And this one's even worse. So there's this doomsday, and people have this like countdown clock around. Like people are like, yeah, it's the end of the world. So you got like people just destroying everything. All the druggies have just destroyed everything, and they just want to do drugs all day because
Mhm.
why bother? And the story is about this character named Brian, and his mother's last wish is to find out how her her magazine series ends, like her comic series. So Brian's got to go search, see if he can find a bodega that still has this last issue.
Wow.
And there are like these street kids. Like it's almost like I don't even know how to describe it because these kids are like they got like these paints on their face and they're like, "We're gonna get you!" And they're like,
Are they just the kindergartners from recess?
kind of, yeah. That's what the world is. It's just chaos, and it made me think like if with everything going on with Russia and how close to nuclear war we might be, like this kind of is a real world thought. Like especially after everything we've been through, like COVID, who would think the whole world was shut down?
Yeah.
I would never think that would have been possible. And now, like the think like the end of the world is might be tomorrow morning.
It's almost become a running joke that these last couple of years that like, oh well, it's just the apocalypse, no big deal. Like
Yeah,
that's
like,
kind of the reality we're living in.
yeah. When I woke up in the morning and the sky was orange, and I'm like, oh, we're on Krypton. All right,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
This is what today is. Cause I mean, but I think I'm just messed up because I have nightmares when I sleep constantly. So I always
You don't say.
think that maybe I'm accessing parallel universes of
Okay.
of myself, and that when I come back, maybe I'm not coming back to the right dimension. I didn't hop correctly, and so I'm in our dimension. I'm just a little skewed. So things that I know to be true may not be true for everybody.
Yeah. I guess.
It's just like it's weird because what are dreams? They feel so real.
Yeah, I'm sure it felt very real this morning when you were yelling and super upset because your brother broke your phone and you didn't have money to fix it. Because that's what I heard you talk about in your sleep.
That did he broke it.
I know, you were very upset. You were like, no, Tom, I don't have enough money to get it fixed and you broke my phone. As you're rolling over, bah.
Oh, jeez.
So, not to call you out on your own podcast, but, well, I mean, if it didn't happen this morning.
So yeah, I was in a parallel universe and my brother smashed my phone.
Yes.
How terrible is that?
Yeah.
That's a dark timeline, man. I'm glad I'm in this timeline. My brother's pretty cool.
Yes, that's true. Tommy is pretty cool.
Just so this Swan Song book, seeing how people react, and it's just hits a little too close to home, especially because like this where he was going looked exactly almost like the area where Fat Cats is.
Yep.
Like where the because his mom's in a hospital and he's walking down the street and it looks very similar
To Main Street there, yeah.
yeah, Main Street where it splits off
In
there.
Johnson City, where Fat Cat Comics is located. Not a sponsor for this episode. This episode.
But but yeah, it was really freaky, and every moment I was like, oh, this is gonna be happy, and I'm like, no, oh no, oh no. So it's just, it freaked me out, and so I'm excited to see what the second issue is all about. Because this
Yeah.
first one, it just came out of the blue. I never knew it was coming out. This is a
And those are the fun parts of like indie comics. Is like I am never sure. I don't usually try to look up indies. So that's the kind of nice part until and until I'm in the shop getting the books from Drew. Sometimes I don't know what we're getting or what
There's so
artists
many, and
are
I think that's the
working
problem.
on.
There's so many indie books.
Yeah.
And what do you take the time to read? Because there's some books I just have a hard time jumping into, like Weird Works.
Yeah.
This week it came out, and I was trying to read it, and it was just okay. It was just nothing kept me. I have no interest reading issue 2, and I don't know if maybe it's just reader fatigue, or it's just.
Yeah, maybe
It-
because we're reading so many books, we just have
Yeah,
a higher
so-
caliber of.
Yeah, so reading it, I was like, man, this is exactly like No One. Why am I not reading No One? It's right there. So when I got done with Weird Works, I just read No One because I was like, this is a way better book. This is about cops and espionage and people hunting down the streets.
Oh, I did see. I've subscribed but not listened or read No One yet. Did you listen to their most recent episode?
I did not. It came out yesterday. I just haven't had a chance to read it. I feel like when I read it when it initially comes out, it's way too long till the next issue. So then I'm just like, oh man, when is this? Because I was checking back, like, oh,
Yeah.
is it out yet? Is it out? And I'm like, oh, it's not out. It's not out. So I figured this time I was gonna let myself wait a little bit, and watch it, and then because I'm interested because this last issue, they really address like how far politicians can go with laws. So this senator is proposing a law that makes it's called like the Self-Defense Act, that if you even think that your life could be in danger, you're allowed to defend yourself in the most possible way that you think of. So if I give you a snake eye and you shoot me in the head and you're like, he was giving me a look, I think he was going to grab something,
Yeah.
that's perfectly legal. And I was just like, man, this sounds like what a lot of states would like to do. This whole
Stand your ground.
stand your ground, Wild West laws of like, we're just going to shoot first and ask questions later.
Yep. Or
And
not even ask questions at all.
so I don't know. I was just blown away in this because it felt too real world for me. Especially because it takes
Yeah.
place in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
And
really? So not that far from the
all I could
small.
think of was like, man, I'm gonna go visit Pittsburgh, and how do I want to say this? Sometimes I'm not the most pleasant person to talk to. Like if there's noises going on, and I'm just like, get away from me.
Correct.
So what if someone
Can confirm.
sees me and they're like, I don't like him. I'm gonna like that's a possibility if I went to Pittsburgh and no one was real.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's right then there. Because I want to go to the Wiz Khalifa's his store.
Oh, yeah. His store there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's kind of like one of my goals.
Yeah. And
It's a weird
I've never
goal,
been to
but that's what
Pittsburgh.
I want. I want to do a road trip, go there,
Well, we're big
and
fans of road
so every
trips.
time I'm reading No One, I'm like, man, so glad this book isn't real. This would be scary.
I am curious, and I've been meaning to ask you, how is the podcast integrated in the storyline of the book? Is it like narrating on the events, kind of like a developing kind of crime style podcast, or is it more like how does it really integrate into the story of No One?
So No One is a whole cast of characters. You have the No One itself. We don't know who it is. Doing their things. We have the cop side of the stories. It's kind of the whole city of Pittsburgh's story.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two characters in it. There's this character named Julia, and she's a podcaster for this news organization.
Okay.
And her editor is Patton Oswald.
Oh, okay.
So she sits down and kind of does a podcast of what she thinks about the day. So, for example, the not this current issue that came out, but the issue before, um, she was doing a podcast about what happened, about the murders, about the investigation that was going on, about that episode, and we open up to this issue currently, and her mom's on the news going, "My daughter's a psychopath," kind of thing. Like she's insane. You don't need to listen to her.
Oh,
She doesn't
boy.
know what she's talking about. She's a terrible journalist.
Oh, God.
Like it was really like, man, this mom is awful. It focuses just on her story, so it's kind of cool because in No One, she's not really the main character,
Okay.
but because of the podcast, it kind of makes her the main character because we got the most character from her.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
get her thoughts and feelings of like what it is to live in this town. Like she's scared when she walks down the street. It's really cool. It's just like a tie-in
Okay.
to the book.
It's just a different point of view.
Yeah,
basically.
it's just really
Okay.
cool that you get to and like this. It opened it up that everybody could have a podcast and we could do it on them in the
Oh,
story.
yeah. That is. I do like that.
So like this isn't limited just to her story. Like other people could do like there could be like a YouTube channel for the No One universe, and then just filming like, yo man, Julia crazy. Like look outside in the streets. Well, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Like that would be really like you could do things like that, and it would really kind of work to connect this world.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also part of the massive verse, and I'm not sure how. I know I'm behind in Radiant Black, but it somehow ties in.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm just missing that the character is the same in some of them, maybe. But
I don't know.
I'm just enjoying No One a lot.
Do you think it's like effective, or do you think that it's something that you can see other comics doing?
I would like to see other comics do it, but this is something that could get old real fast. Like I don't want to listen to 10 podcasts about every single character in a secret world. Like this is like that special niche. Like they did this. I don't want to see anyone else do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of just copying them. But I really appreciate like what it is, and I think it's beautiful. And I think you're right. People are going to copy this and go, "Oh, this is how we're going to make money."
Yeah. Well, because essentially, coming from my point of view, oh, you could throw some ads on there too and make some more money back on it. To pay off those production costs for everything.
So that's what I'm enjoying. Amy, what books are you enjoying?
Well, I feel bad because I feel like just exclusively talk about Marvel sometimes or just the indies. But there's been some books coming out from DC that I've actually been enjoying. Spirit World, I cannot remember. I feel like maybe I touched on it or maybe
We
I just
talked about
really
the
talked
first
about the
issue,
first
and you
episode.
told us you'd keep us up to date what happened. I know issue 2 came out, and I just assumed it sucked because you didn't
No.
want to talk about it. Am I wrong?
You are incorrect.
All right,
I
then school me. Take me to school.
take you to school. Get in the bus. The bus is here. I'm gonna take you to school. So the very beginning of issue 2 is Constantine and Xanthi having dinner at Xanthi's parents' house, and they only refer to them by their dead name the entire time. And just so if you're not aware, what I mean by dead name is now that they are they
So
them.
Xanthi's not their actual name?
Xanthi is not their birth name, correct?
Oh, okay.
So I'm not going to label anybody, but like I said, they refer to themselves as they them, and Xanthi comes from a very traditional Chinese family, in the essence that that is the only way. That is who you are. You are always this person. You are always my daughter, specifically. I named you. How can you be so ungrateful and throw away the name that I chose for you after? Like, it really leans into that whole, and again, I just know of this from watching some Asian cinema and knowing topics that were covered in other movies. Asian guilt and Asian pride is definitely something that weighs heavy on the younger generation in the Asian community. And just to see, first of all, to see Xanthi stand up to her parents and say, "No, my name is Xanthi. You will refer to me by that name or not at all." And just see them stand up for myself and say, "Fuck you, parents. If you're not going to respect who I am, you don't have to have anything to do with me." But I thought there was something wrong with the book when I was initially looking at it, because those speech bubbles, and they'll just be like, "Hey, blah blah blah." There were like the equivalent of like big black lines. There were texts there, and it looked.
Oh, are they saying the name?
Yeah, and that was how they
Oh,
were
see,
saying
I
the
didn't
name.
want to be rude and be like, "What's their dead name?" I want to know because I know
No, I can't
that can
tell
be-
you.
that's a weapon that people use against the
Yes.
trans community. So I didn't want to participate. I wanted to be like, "Oh, now we'll know if they're." So you don't know what they are then,
I
or
I
can you
know
know
that
based on
they
clues?
I know that they were female because like their mother specifically said my daughter. My daughter
Okay.
blacked out. Like, that's the thing. You can't even guess what it is. And so I thought that was a really neat way to tackle dead names in a book.
That is just make it scribble and mark. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so not that whole scene. And then, oh yeah, by the way, Constantine has been, there this whole fucking time.
Wait, he's been in the house
He's
during
been
this
he
argument.
yeah, he's been in the house during this whole
Is he
fucking
smoking?
Oh, absolutely.
I love Constantine.
Like, I think I want to say he's smoking in the kitchen. He might be respectful and wait until he leaves the house, but like as soon as he steps out that door, he's lighting up a ciggy. Like, that's like, and he's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry about that." And Xanthi's apologizing to Constantine, and Constantine's like, "I don't care. Like, I am sorry that you had to go through that. Like, this is a traumatic experience. Are you okay?"
Wow.
So, just having that.
So that's what issue 2 is
That
dealing
is
that's a heavy issue.
And that was like only the first third of the book. We did get more into Cassandra Cain and her side of being in the spirit world.
But really that
But
was the highlight there.
yeah, that was like the big and definitely something that I wanted to talk about. I thought I did, and if I didn't, I'm
we
glad
didn't.
we're
We
talking
have
about
not
it
talked-
now.
This is all new information for me. Yeah, because sometimes we have a list of what we're going to talk about. Sometimes we run out of things.
Correct. And sometimes there's just too many things to cover in one week.
So, yeah, so you've been really enjoying Spirit World.
I've been really enjoying Spirit World.
Any other DC books you enjoy since you're on the
Yes,
DC run?
I'm on the DC train, the pro DC train. Look, Peacemaker. I'm enjoying that one. It is a fun read.
The
I
art's not even done. How can you like this book? I open it
Shut
up.
up.
Like there's no one.
Shut up.
There was no one on this
Shut the
cover.
hole in your face.
There was no one on this cover.
There's just a broken bottle on a helmet that was
Yeah, I
it.
didn't understand it. There was just a bottle in the air. I was like, man, this is weird. And I go for the book, and there's just some panels that just scenery. So weird.
If you're not getting the joke, John Cena stars as Peacemaker in the in the Max series, I should say, not the HBO Max series.
I don't even know what the legal term for that because
It's just Max.
but it was HBO Max when
They
the
made the deal,
licensing
yeah.
was. I mean, if you watch it now, I'm sure it's going to say an HBO Max original.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past you, but
I mean, unless they edited that movie. I didn't watch Peacemaker though when it came out.
no, neither did I. Now I kind of want to go after reading this. I kind of want to go back and watch it.
Why? What is making it
I can only read this with John Cena's voice in my head,
as you should?
as you should. It is really written for him. Like, there's not a word in this book, in any of the books so far, that have come out that don't match like his tone or his humor, which is really great. So if you like that kind of humor that was in, the Suicide Squad movie with him just being like, "Hey, ass face, like, God, you guys don't appreciate me. I'm just trying to make everything peaceful," as he punches out like 8 guys and then like cracks 2 of them in the head together. Like, just the irony of that. But there's been this couple long running jokes that I just really appreciate that I want to highlight. I know that I mentioned this the first issue came out, was that he got a little doggy. He got a little doggy. He got a little French bulldog. His name is Bruce Wayne. And everybody's been like, "What? Like, why is it Bruce Wayne?" And it's because he is a black and white French bulldog, but he's got like a little tie near his neck and a white bib front where he kind of looks like he's wearing a little tuxedo. So he's been calling him his little fancy man. So he's like, "Oh, I gotta find my little fancy man, Bruce Wayne." It's not just him, it's also like his probation officer that's coming in to like check on him to make sure that he's sticking to curfew, who's like, "Oh, look at you, you're such a little fancy man." Like, it's a long running joke in this book. Like that they call him his little fancy man, and I think that he shows a picture of the dog to somebody else in this, and he's just like, "Oh, what a little fancy man." Bruce Wayne.
I feel like you just have a dog in the book and you're just like sold. I love it.
I mean,
But it is a fun joke.
it is a fun joke.
I see the dog and I like just get scared. I'm like, oh man, that dog's gonna eat me. I saw the
He's
pictures.
not gonna eat you. The whole thing is him trying to get Bruce Wayne back because
Like the real Bruce Wayne or the dog?
the dog Bruce Wayne.
All right, because I got confused on the rundown this week, and you're like, fancy man dog. Oh, Bruce Wayne, we're coming for you. And I'm like, real Bruce Wayne or dog Bruce Wayne? That was
Dog
my
Bruce
thought.
Wayne. It was
Like-
dog Bruce Wayne, but I was trying to get you guys all interested in what was going on.
I just wanted to know.
Yeah, and then I just really enjoy the fact that the other thing is while he's doing this rescue mission, trying to get his dog back, going with Monsieur Mala and them having a bro time, and then, come to find out it was a ploy the whole time, just to use them for their own side plot, like, and this has been another long running joke, like, "You guys doing anything this weekend? I'm throwing a party," and like nobody wants to fucking come to his party. Like, that's even in the first book. Nobody wants to come to your lame ass party.
No, I don't want to go to a Peacemaker party. You don't even know what he looks like. I can't get behind the book. I know you talk how great it is, and I see him appear in books, and I don't know what it is about Peacemaker. It rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, I don't like this guy.
But it's John Cena.
It is, and I like John Cena.
So just read it as John Cena Adventures.
I'll try. I'll give it a shot for you.
All right.
So speaking of DC books, since we're on this DC train, the new event of the summer is out. DC Night Terrors.
Nice and short.
We have a new villain that's been introduced named Insomnia, and they are after this gem that's locked inside someone's dreams. So
Yeah.
Insomnia made everyone go to sleep, and now he is going to person, trying to find them. these dreams people are having are of like their worst nightmares,
Yes.
and it's fun. I just don't know like how long this can go on for. Like I know they're only 2 issues long, and I'm like, man, I think you could have done this in 1 issue almost.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the Joker story.
Yes, that is definitely. I really enjoyed that one. I enjoyed the bit we did run the rundown for it too.
Oh, it
Just
was the
whole.
Joker was hilarious. Like he's just like I hate my job. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shoot my boss. Clearly, that will get me out of here. And they're like, "Hey, he's gone. You should take his
I
place."
know. They were
And he's like, "Fuck."
just stumbled into a career and he hates it, but he loves it at the same time. Like he regrettably is like,
Yeah, because then he has fun with it, and he's like, "Why am I
Ah.
here? I hate this."
we're going to karaoke, everybody. Like, or we're going out to beers, like office party.
It almost makes me think of working at party time because there was parts of me that I'm just like, it's a party supply store. It's for someone's party. Parties aren't that important. Why am I here?
Yeah.
And there's other times I'm like, man, you're having a Ninja Turtle birthday? Oh my God. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Because here, we're going to save you some money on these plates because we can use different colored plates so they're the turtle colors.
Yeah.
Like, I went, like, for some people, like, if they were having really fun parties I could jump into, like a Power Ranger party, I was like, oh, I got you. Like, that made it fun. And then there was times I was like, no, I don't want to blow up balloons all morning, like 1,000 balloons.
Yeah, for real.
Like I've had nightmares about blowing up balloons and like not having everything done. It's awful.
You have interesting dreams. That's all.
I do. So this nightmare thing really got me because I was like, man, what would my worst like? I'm trying to think if my dreams, some of the dreams I have been my worst nightmares coming to life.
Oh yeah.
So like I get when they're like Bruce Wayne's nightmare is he is reliving his parents' death over and over and
Oh
over
God.
again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been there every night. I'm going to sleep dreaming basically the same thing. I'm in Oswego. It's always during finals and I don't know where my shirt is. It's awful. Or I'm like, I walk into class and I've been skipping the whole season, the whole semester. And so I just came in for the final. And the teacher's like, let's go. I'm like, oh man, I don't remember anything. And they're like, why are you even here? And I'm like, well, he goes, I don't even recognize you. You can't just come in and take a final. I'm like, why?
Jeez.
So I get
Is
it.
that really what you're dreaming about when you're like, I was back at Oswego?
Yeah, that's been just a couple of my dreams.
Oh my God.
I dream some weird stuff. Like, there's people that pop into my dreams, and I'm like, man, I don't even know who they are. And then I'll see them somewhere, and Katie or my brother or sister will be like, yeah, you went to Oswego with them. I'm like, oh, that's who they are. It's really freaky. I've been enjoying the book. The First Blood, like, I feel like that's not a great book. It's just whatever, but it's so important.
Yeah.
For the setup of everyone else's, like, why this is happening.
It's definitely
it's like
a
you
key
have
issue.
to read this.
Yeah, you literally have to for any of it to make any sort of sense. And that's why we said, once you get past this, like, choose your own adventure, basically.
You got to meet Deadman for the first time.
I did. That was in Batman? Or no,
yeah,
that was in the...
It was in First Blood. Yeah, it was in First Blood because something was happening to everybody. I think he does appear again in Batman. But yeah, so it's a character you haven't had a chance to meet. I personally
haven't.
been like, I've never really liked Deadman growing up because of my religious views. That was almost too much. A dead man who can possess people and talk to them, and like he knows it's happening. It's just a little too much for me sometimes.
But I think it's so... You haven't seen Ghost.
No, I haven't. I know about the love scene though with the pottery only because of Community.
That's like 10 minutes into the movie.
And Whoopi Goldberg's in it, I believe.
Whoopi Goldberg is in it, and she does get possessed. So,
I don't know. Possession.
Quote unquote possessed. Someone leaps into her body. Whatever.
All right, how about this? We'll watch it for Halloween.
Fine. It's more of like a rom-com mystery, but sure.
It's a ghost movie. How is it not a horror movie?
I mean, there is murder, but...
So confused. So the Night Terrors, Amy, what book are you been enjoying them as much as me? Like, what's your feelings
I
on
did.
this?
I really liked the Batman story. Was really great. And I feel like that I agree with you. Reading Batman was like a great setup to, or a taster, I'll say, of what the rest of these first or Night Terrors, miniseries issues are
Are
going to
going to
be.
turn out to be, yeah.
Yeah. The other one I really liked was Poison Ivy.
That was wild.
It was creepy. Now, the kind of gist with her story is that her nightmare is to be stuck in suburbia, essentially. So her and Harley have a home. She walks out the front door, turns to the right. Her next door neighbor is Bruce Wayne, and I can't get the image of Bruce Wayne in like a Hawaiian shirt, khakis, and like a spatula because he's grilling.
What about his wife?
Yeah. Oh, his wife. You mean Selena Kyle?
Yeah. It felt like I
Who's
was in
expecting,
that
by
Matthew
the way.
Broderick movie. Oh, what's it called? The Stepford Wives.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's why I was like, it's the Stepford Wives of Gotham.
Oh, it was. When I
It
was reading,
really was.
It was like that's her nightmare is to live our life basically.
I
Of like, oh, domestic bliss, like everything's going well. We're gonna make pancakes in the morning, and on Saturday we'll do Saturday morning cartoons.
know. I mean,
She like what she wants to live like in the jungle. Like I want to know what her dream is.
It's too like people-y for her, I think. She doesn't want to be with everybody all up in her fucking business.
Now, I will say, I believe it was the Ravengers book. We learn that other people are in their dreams. So, like, Batman is the boss of the dream, but then there's other people like inside their dreams. So, like, Robin might be, the Ravengers. It was a character I didn't know, but like she was in there and she was like, "What am I doing in here? Like, this is weird. I hate this." And to her, she was just it was a terrible nightmare for her too.
Because she was just.
So I wonder like what other characters are in like Poison Ivy's that we didn't catch aren't supposed to be there as well. They're just like, this is a nightmare for me.
Yeah, I'm wondering now. I think that's going to be maybe something to go back and take a look at.
So yeah. So I wasn't gonna be a big fan of this Night Terrors. I was just kind of gonna be like, nah. But it's been a lot of fun. If it's just gonna be a quick little, we're just do it for the month.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound bad. 5 weeks long, nah.
Yeah.
We can get through that. It sounds like a fun adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm having more fun reading Night Terrors than I am Secret Invasion.
Then you are watching Secret Invasion.
Like I love Samuel L. Jackson, but gosh.
Well, I mean, we've come full circle at this point.
We have. So I think it's time to wrap it up. We'll be back next week with another episode because we got to talk about Secret Invasion. I want to love this show, and that's my problem. Until I do, we will not stop talking about it.
That seems fair. I'll be
So-
watching it with you, so.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Bye.